okay? Is everything okay with it? You watch, just give me a 5x5 or a sound of my voice connection first. Please make sure that you are subscribed. If you are, hit that bell. If you have, smash that Fonzarelli, hit that like, and then jump down and make comments. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so in my explanation of why I am not a Christian any longer, he made it a point to will to power. That is, he is powering through and expressing his perspective to influence the will of his children by praying a correction on my standing in their eyes. Basically, he gave thanks to God for God's revelation that a man can only be in the kingdom if he is born of the Spirit and water, thereby revealing to his children that I'm not a part of the kingdom, nor was I ever, because I didn't have the Spirit and I wasn't born of water. If I'm making myself clear, let me see if I'm going to make myself a little more clear. I think I'm confusing myself. Not really, but if you're not familiar with this kind of theological banter, it might not make sense. In Christianity, there is a phrase called once saved, always saved, right? If you are saved, you will never go back to being you'll never go back to being an atheist or whatever, right? And then if you do, well, never saved. Okay? So basically, his perspective was, even though I went to Moody Bible Institute and got a bachelor's degree, and even though I went to seminary and got a master's degree, and even though at those times in my existence, I was pursuing righteousness, I was pursuing holiness as I understood it as a Christian, but I wasn't saved. Why? Because I'm not saved now. Because if I had then, I'd still be saved. Like, I'd still be a Christian today. Like, you understand what I mean? So he was basically telling his children, this man was never a Christian because he's not one now. We know that when whoever is born of Spirit and born of the water is in the kingdom, and once you're in the kingdom, you don't leave. You don't get out. You don't lose your salvation. Does that make sense? And then he addressed my perspective on science, right? Empiricism. And, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, look, I could be reading between the lines, but I don't think I am. You know what I mean? Because it happened right after we had that massive conversation, and he chose 2 points to correct. So that was one of the things that we were instructed never to do as pastors. You never address personal issues in prayers, right? You don't use prayer. Going to pray for the service, right? Everybody like, let's bow our heads and pray and ask the Lord's blessing. Like, you don't make the prayer a sermon. Just ask for God's blessing. You give him acknowledgement, you give him adoration and praise and worship, but you don't use the prayer as a platform for you to put out your agenda. That's the point. Which, is all of a move anyway. I mean, you can do that if you want. I know plenty of people that do that. Absolutely. tons of times in church where the pastors, for like 5 minutes, you're like, oh my God, just say amen and get on with it. Like, is this the sermon? Did you just start the sermon already? Because this feels like a sermon. So I still am trying to work through expressing my position and my perspective as a former Christian. Oh, you were never a Christian, Travis. Okay, I understand your philosophy. That's your opinion. However, I think that I have a unique perspective. I'm really trying to think about, and anybody, if you're listening to this and you come back to this or whatever, if you know of anyone who used to be a Christian and is no longer a Christian, have expressed their story, because I'm not antagonistic to anyone's story, anyone's journey, anyone's progress. That's your story. That's your progress. That's your journey. However, I do have a lot to say against the system if you exist, because that system is a construct for your mind. And yet at the same time, everything that we like I'm driving right now, I am operating within a system, a construct. I'm on the right side of the road. I'm in left lane. You know what I mean? Like, there are rules. There are rules. Like, I'm not going to go driving in cross traffic. Right? There are rules to reality. This is not a simulation. Not a simulation. This is real. But it's my that were I to end my existence here by accident or intentionally, and the lights were to go out, I would just simply respawn. So this is a simulation, but it is. Thanks for the like and thanks for the share. Do you believe in love after love? Oh, not that share? I can feel something inside me say, really don't think it's strong enough. Oh, I'm just killing time because I wasn't sure if I was going to start buffering again. We have a construct, and I'm not against your story. I'm not against, but I am against the construct per se, because wherever you are as a religious, spiritual person, perhaps in a religious, spiritual expression called Christianity or Catholicism or being a, whatever it is, wherever you find yourself, you are given certain dogmatic principles that direct the way that you operate, direct the way that you think, direct the way that you behave, right? In spirituality, there's a mantra that says, wherever your attention goes, there your energy flows. I think it's very profound and yet very mundane at the same time. If you find yourself consumed with a thought of the past or an anticipation of the future, that's where your energy and your attention focus. So where do you want your energy and your attention to focus? So if you think that certain thoughts are inappropriate, certain words, certain behaviors are inappropriate, if you think that way, then that typically is going to work itself out in the way that you also then behave and present yourself to other people. For instance, just as a sidebar, when I'm driving by myself, I constantly talk to other drivers like, oh, that, like, why did you do that? Like, why? Yeah, you're gonna be the first one to the stop sign there, speed racer. You know what I mean? But when I have people in the car with me, I don't say those things. Why? Because I have self-control, right? So that just shows that I can control myself even when I'm by myself. I don't have to say those things out loud. And another point, in fact, is then I usually am, when I'm with friends who are adults, I will just freely swear left and right. F-bomb this, GD that, just everywhere. But I did none of that with this family. Zero. And a couple of times when I had to, like, you know, put the governor on, and mentally, I'm like, okay, I can't, like, I want to be, like, expressing myself, and I'm like, smurfing A, man, or whatever. I didn't do any of that. That just goes to show that you control every single time. You can control yourself every single time.